Hello everyone and welcome back to Stagger Stance Podcast. I am Alex and this is a Stagger Stance bonus episode. This is a YouTube video that I made and I will be posting on my personal YouTube channel, but I thought to make it also into podcast format so you can see what I am up to in my personal life outside of stand-up paddleboarding and a few of my goals for 2025. So enjoy. In 2024, I tracked every single physical item that came into my life. And in total, across all of my categories, I introduced 133 items into my life, which is an average of 11 items per month. Out of those 133 items, 61% were new items, 15% were secondhand, and 23% were gifted. And out of all of those items, I still have 115 of them, or 86%. And while there were many items that I really liked, things that I absolutely love, and I will continue to love for who knows how long, but majority of the things were items that I really don't need in my life. It would have been the same had I not introduced them into my space. So in 2025, I will be doing a low buy year. A lot of people do low buy years, no buy years. The term is thrown around a lot, but for me personally, it is going to be a low buy year. And so I want to share my experience, what I'm going to do, my rules, my why, everything, just so you can get an idea. I love watching YouTube videos like this, so I hope that this YouTube video will be entertaining and good for other people who are maybe thinking of doing the exact same thing. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's start with my whys. Obviously, when it comes to buying less, there's always a reason behind it. The biggest reason right now is that I want to save money. I have a really strict set of amount of money that I want to save throughout the year. In 2024, I bought a lot of things, mainly because I had money. I was working for the first time ever, and there were a lot of things that I had wanted for years, finally got them, and these are the things that I absolutely love, the things that I love that I got, but that also came with other things that I didn't necessarily need. But yeah, the first why is that I want to save money. Number two is that I want to be more environmentally conscious. I feel like this is a thing that I personally am always striving for. It's a little bit hard where I live. I'll get into that later, but bit by bit throughout my life, I want to slowly become more environmentally conscious, eco-conscious, and create less of a carbon footprint with my actions and things that I do. If you want to hear a little bit more about my goals and my thoughts on all of that stuff, I do have a few podcast episodes about it on my podcast, Stagger Stance. I'll link it below. But yeah, next one is to be more environmentally conscious. And the next one, and it kind of ties to the last one, is that I want to slowly transition my life more into the KonMari method and eco-minimalism. I feel like I wouldn't be able to exactly position myself into a specific category, whether it be KonMari, minimalism, eco-minimalism. So I really want to strive into a good in-between. I want to be an eco-minimalist. The definition for eco-minimalism is buying the least amount of things with the least amount of environmental impact. And then KonMari is buying things that sparks joy and keeping things in your life that spark joy. So I really want to find a healthy middle ground. So this year will just be a year of transition into that lifestyle. Obviously, I'm not going to reach it in a year, but I can bit by bit start moving towards there. Also, guys, I got my nails done and they are the Jinx nails. Pretty cool. This is the first time that I got my nails done in over a year. My last why is that I want to prioritize things that I already have. I have a lot of things and they deserve to be loved because I was the one that introduced them onto this world. I was the one that created a demand for them with my dollar. So the least I can do is actually use them and love them until I no longer can. And yeah, that's all of my whys. Now I want to get into a few disclaimers before I actually talk about my goals for this year. Number one is that what will work for me might not work for you. I feel like I live a completely different lifestyle from what the average person who would be viewing this would be. I don't live in the United States, don't live in Europe. So I feel like with that, you can kind of catch my drift. Number two is that I don't have a shopping problem. I am not doing this to fight a shopping problem, all right? I don't struggle with buying too many things. So a lot of my rules are a lot more relaxed because there's no need to check myself to the extent that a person with a possible addiction would be checking themselves. I feel like I just said that sentence completely wrong. Instead of being super strict and super tight with all of my rules, I want to find a realistic and sustainable set of rules long term. So instead of restricting myself so much for 1 year and then letting myself be relaxed throughout the rest of the years, who knows how that's going to happen, but I want to find rules that I could possibly continue with for the rest of my life or indefinitely. I am also really young and I'm just starting to enter my adult world, adult life. I'm 19. So there's so many things, so many products that are being introduced into my life that I otherwise wouldn't have needed as a teenager. And so there's also a lot of things that I'm still learning. There's products that I'm still learning whether or not I like them. There's a lot of experimentation and trying new things. So it doesn't make sense for me to stunt that progress of figuring out what I am going to be using for the rest of my life just because I feel like I need to stick to really strict rules. Number 3 is that I do not have access to many sustainable things. Now you may be like, Alex, what does that mean? It basically means that the closest clothing store to me is an hour away and it's an H&M. So it's really hard for me to find good quality, long-lasting, sustainable clothing or sustainable items. The sustainable items that I only have because I visited the United States and bought them there. So as a person who also has no plans of visiting the United States this year, it's hard for me to buy sustainable items when I don't have access to those things. So a lot of my clothing is fast fashion. A lot of my things are pretty cheaply made, and that's not because I am irresponsible. It's the fact that I have no access to better items. So yeah, my main clothes are fast fashion, but I have had items from Forever 21, H&M. I've had them for like 5 years. So how I work is trying to make things last, no matter how cheaply they were made, no matter literally anything. I make sure that those items last. And when it comes to clothing, sewing is a good tip for that. I also don't have access to thrift stores. The closest thing is a thrift shop that's like the size of an average bathroom and garage sales every once in a while throughout town. So I really don't have access to secondhand items. So when I am going through my rules and everything, secondhand items don't count in these rules, simply because the fact that I will probably barely have a chance to even find secondhand items throughout this year. And number 4 on the disclaimer list is that I still live with my parents, so these rules may look a lot different. All of my necessities and needs are taken care of. Super thankful for that, super grateful. So my rules may not work exactly the same as a person who is living on their own. All right, so let's go over some overall goals for my low buy year. I am going to have a price max on each of the categories. So I will have a budget for each category throughout the entire year. And I will also have a refill/replacement rule for items that I already have. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. I am going to limit myself to buying certain new items. I'm limiting myself to only 5 new clothing items throughout the year and 6 new items throughout the rest of the other categories. I feel like that is plenty. It is enough of things. That's like 11 new items total. Instead of in 2024 having an average of 11 new items per month, I'll have a total of 11 items throughout the entire year. I also want to make this clear that items that were gifted to me don't count towards these new items in these categories. Already, I am not gifted that many things because people know not to gift me things, because I tell people all the time that I don't want to receive a gift that I didn't know that I'd be receiving because I cannot confirm that I will give it the life it deserves. I fear that I won't love it enough, and it's just another item on this earth that did not serve its purpose. So not that many people give me gifts. Secondhand items and gifts don't count towards these rules. I'm going to continue to track what I buy. I found that it was extremely insightful and I really liked how I organized everything. I may switch up a few things, but I definitely am going to continue to track all of my purchases. Also, I want to make this clear that all of my rules here are about physical items that are being introduced into my life. This doesn't count like going out to eat or getting my nails done. Things like that, that's a separate category for me. That's something that I'm not talking about in this video. Those rules are a little more relaxed and it's a lot easier for me to check myself, so I'm not going to be talking about them in this video. Next is that I'm going to complete my project pan. I have a list of items that I want to complete either the first month, second month, third month, all the way to the end of the year, just items that I want to complete. They're mainly makeup items and stationery items. So those are things that I will be working on to complete. And lastly, I want to save money. That's like the biggest goal. I want to save money. There's no direct thing that I want to save my money for. All right, so now let's go into the deep specifics, okay? I'm going to be using the red light, yellow light, green light method. I saw this on Grace Navit's channel. I followed her for a bit throughout her no-buy year in 2024, and I really like this idea and how it's set up. It makes everything a lot easier just to know that if it's in your red light section, you don't buy it. If it's in your yellow light section, you consider it, you think about it, and if it's in your green light, you don't have to worry about it. All right, let's start with my red lights. Number one is stationary items. I don't think I've actually bought stationary items in around 2 years, but it's just something that I want to continue on with. That includes notebooks, pens, paper, all that stuff. Next is nail polish. I only bought 3 nail polishes this year and I am not using them. And that's just simply because my lifestyle does not allow me to have nail polish. If I want nail polish, it has to be gel polish, what I have on right now. And I'm not going to buy a whole set of gel polish just so I can paint my nails. Only reason why I have my nails painted right now is because I'm not doing a job that I normally do for this month, and it allowed me to grow my nails out and paint them. So once my job starts up again, I'll no longer be able to keep my nails painted and long. The next red light is if I want to buy an item and it will exceed my budget for the year, I am not going to buy it. Obviously, my budget is to limit myself to not buying these things. So if it exceeds my budget for the year, I'm not gonna buy it. Next one is jewelry. My lifestyle does not allow me to have really nice jewelry pieces, mainly because of my training. I'm a competitive stand-up paddleboard racer, so I am constantly in the salt water, constantly doing high intensity workout sessions. I don't want to run the risk of damaging expensive jewelry. This, for example, is shells, so I can use it. It won't rust, it won't turn green. But I also know that I am not going to be constantly changing out my jewelry pieces every time I train. So I'm just going to stick with easy stuff that I can wear throughout the entire day. And that means that I already have what I need. I don't need anything more. Next is hair accessories. Same thing. I don't do my hair enough to need hair accessories. And even then, I'm not going to take these hair accessories out every time I have to train. I have hair clips and that's all I need. Next is workout clothes. I bought a lot of Pop Flex this year and I'm so happy with every single item that I bought, but I do not need any more workout clothes. I'm going to live with what I already have. My next red light item is room decor. Now, I did not buy room decor for around 2 years, mainly because I was getting older. I was graduating high school. I didn't exactly know what I was going to be doing with my life, so it didn't make sense for me to buy something for my room if I didn't know if I was going to be living in it. But now, since I'm 19, it seems like I'm going to be staying here for a little bit longer. I did buy like 3 items, and I also did redo my room to make it more like a 18, 19-year-old's room instead of a 16-year-old's room, you know? But I will be continuing to no longer buy any room decor. And if I want room decor, I will make it myself. My next red light is physical books. I will no longer be buying any physical books. I only bought 2 physical books this year. One was secondhand, one was new. I don't buy books because I have a Kindle and a library card. So all I have to do is just borrow books on my Kindle so I can read. I don't need physical books. Next one is no new plants. All the plants that I have and I really like can be propagated. So there's no reason for me to buy new plants. Next one is bathing suits. I have 3 bathing suits and that's totally fine. I go into the water a lot. Like obviously I paddle a lot, so I'm in the ocean a lot, but all of that stuff is workout clothes. I don't really wear bathing suits. So the 3 bathing suits that I have are totally fine. And then my last red light is any item of clothing that is more than 50% polyester. The last item of clothing that I bought this year, I really liked it. It was really cute. Yeah, it was great. And then I looked at the tag and it was almost 100% polyester. And I kind of just sat there and was like, oh, this thing isn't even going to last me 5 years. And that was a really big wake-up call to just like double check everything that I am buying and making sure that what I am buying is going to last in my life. All right, now let's get into the yellow light category. My first yellow light is anything that I will need for an art project that I will do right then and there if I got that item. A lot of times I will buy something for an art project and I'm like, oh, well, I have this right now, but I'll do it later. And I never actually do it. So I'm only going to buy art supplies for an art project when I know that I'm going to be doing that art project. And then my second yellow light, I only have two, but the second one is anything that I'm buying that's outside the confines of a physical item. That's things like getting my nails done, going out to eat, all that stuff. When I'm doing these things, I need to think whether or not they are actually going to be serving me, and if it goes against my environmental conscious goals or my saving money goals. And lastly, let's go over my green light items. Number one is refills or replacements of things that I actually need. There's a lot of things that I plan to finish, like to run out or to use until I can no longer use it, that I won't be replacing. And I think that's totally fine, but I will allow myself to replace items that I know that I really like and am using. I don't think I'm going to be replacing any of my makeup items because I just replaced everything. They just happened to run out at the same time. So I think I'm going to be fine for a very long time. And then my last two green lights are things that we already talked about. 5 new clothing items and 6 new items in general throughout the rest of the categories. These are things that I have to genuinely like, genuinely love, and am willing to introduce into my life, and I will love them non-conditionally. And I have to really think about these items too. They can't be impulse purchases. I have to really think about them and be okay with bringing them into my life and contributing to the supply and demand of this item. And that is all for this video. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions or you want to share your low buy rules, comment down below. I'd love to hear it. I am going to be doing 3-month check-ins, and I think I'm going to be posting a YouTube video about it. I have no idea. I'll see once the time comes, but I also want to be doing this in 3-month increments. I think that sometimes it can be scary having rules for the full 12 months, and you can psych yourself out and be like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do it, just make excuses. But I'm going to be practicing the 12-week year. I feel like we've all heard about this book, but basically I'm just going to go 3 months at a time, and I'm going to check in with myself, and I'm going to see if my goals and my expectations are actually realistic, and if I'm going to continue with it, if I need to be more strict with myself, if I need to relax a little bit more. Again, like I said before, this process is finding a realistic and sustainable way to continue to do this throughout my entire life, not just 1 year. That is all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Bye-bye.